This is the low lunge exploration, which we've all done low lunges in our yoga classes, and we think about how we're looking at the iliopsoas connection into the pelvis, which travels up into the lumbar vertebrae, and releasing that. And for many years, myself included, it was all about stretching. Let's stretch the psoas. The psoas is tight. Let's keep stretching it. Well, we know now once we've got a decent range of motion in the psoas, there's no reason to stretch it anymore, unless we're competing in the Olympics in a couple years. So I'm not considering stretching mine anymore. So for me, it's about finding that integration. So let's come to a low lunge, or if you just want to watch, that's fine. I won't know anyway. In the low lunge itself, we want to get rid of the emphasis of just dumping the weight into the pelvis and hanging out there and trying to go as deep as possible into lizard. Some of you might have experienced before that you get pain inside the groin after a while, and that's usually an inflammation because there's just so much stretching going on there that the muscles and the connective tissue are now trying to protect themselves. It can also be a plethora of other things, so don't think that's the only reason, but that's just one possibility. So I always start with the feet. What are the feet doing? Because if the feet are not playing a huge role, if that's not where my focus is before I move, then I haven't got stability, right? My balance and my stability is all going to come from my feet. So it's about really working through the foot, allowing the sense of the heel, the whole ball of the foot, the big toe joint, and the baby toe joint to find that stability. I'll face towards you for a moment. Sometimes I get students who are new to just start rolling around those contact points through the big toe joint, through the heel, through the inside. And notice what starts to happen with the femur bone. So the thigh starts to negotiate its way into the pelvis itself. So if you think about the bone as it sits in the hip socket, and we've got the labrum that's there to cushion impact. If we keep that sort of oiled up without a lot of pressure, then what happens is that I have the ability to access the adductors, the hamstrings, the outside, the IT band, and the quadriceps equally. And it's an equal amount of activation and release as I move through that. What happens with the other leg, because of that action, is that this femur bone as well, this thigh bone, also starts that exploration in a circular action. And so both hips are starting to get stimulated with light contraction, but also with release. Again, I'm not interested in stretching. I'm not interested in taking this any further. What I'm interested in is getting everything fluid, and I'm having a conversation with the nervous system. The nervous system is starting to say, oh, okay, we're building up a little bit of heat here. We're getting some movement. I'm not being pulled to a maximum, so I don't have to keep negotiating. Is it safe? Do I need to trigger the pain response? I'm just exploring. And what I like about the terms exploring and curiosity is this is where the philosophy is. If my life can be that, if it can be a practice of curiosity, if my life can be a practice of curiosity, I'll never be disappointed. And I need to bring that relationship into my body as well as the rest of the world. So what I do on the mat should reflect how I live my life. So I'm never interested in that idea of just, okay, let's get here, find an intense sensation and hold it until we can go to the next deeper sensation. That's not what we're working on. But notice once I've cultivated that activation and that fluidity, then I've got stability. If I start talking about the feet pushing away from each other or pulling towards each other, you can even see what happens in my pelvis. If I think the feet, my left foot is pushing forward, my right toes are pushing slightly back, that automatically starts to activate in the pelvis. What's happening is that everything along the way is activating a little bit without isolating any one given point. Then the same thing with drawing in. If I draw in, I get that sense of the femur bones moving into the pelvis. Either way, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to like suck in as if my life depended on it, nor do I want to push away as if my life depends upon it, because we can overdo anything, right? So I just understand where that stability is coming from. And once I have that play between that pushing and pulling, that's where I can then find fluidity in the spine, right? So now if I want to take a rolling action with the spine, I cannot forget my feet, right? I can't forget my feet. I can't leave them out of the equation. But by working with that integration, I now have more fluidity through the upper body to explore different ranges of motion that connect in this whole line. So have a play around with that. See how you get along, and feel. We need to keep connecting to how it feels so that we can integrate that. So that when we find that strength and stability, it allows for the fluidity because it's not rigid and locked. I hope you get on with that.